Plaintiff Patricia Moore is suing the defendant, Richard Connors, for car damage. Patricia says that since the defendant rear-ended her vehicle, he has repeatedly intimidated her. However, Richard, a former police officer, insists the damage that the plaintiff is suing for was not caused by his car.
All right, this is the matter of Patricia Moore, who is suing Richard Connors. Patricia alleges that the defendant is responsible for car damage and fees associated with serving the defendant. Patricia, why don't you tell me how this car damage occurred?
Your Honor, I'd like to begin by saying that this case is not just about the amount of money that Mr. Connor owes me.
You know what, Patricia, these cases usually are not. They're about a lot more than money, but go ahead.
Yes, they are. If this was just about money, I'd have just handed this over to my car insurance agent, and I'd never have to deal with this man again. What this is about is when Mr. Connors and I had an accident, he rear-ended me. Anytime I've tried to have any kind of contact with this man, he's done nothing but scream and yell at me and try to intimidate me. He represented himself to me as a former police officer. Because of that, I felt that I should have been able...
Yes, ma'am.
You are? Where?
Former law enforcement, Hillsborough County, Tampa, Florida.
Doing what?
I was in charge of corrections there.
Ah, okay.
I felt when he told me that I should have been able to trust this man. Instead, he's done nothing but badger me, scare me, try to intimidate me, and do everything in his power.
How?
Well, whenever I would get on the phone with him, he would yell at me and scream at me. He'd tell me not to bother him. He even said I had no right to call his insurance company.
Is that true, Richard?
No, Your Honor, it's not.
All right. Did she reach out to talk to you?
I only spoke to her the day of the accident. Every other conversation was with her husband, which was actually
Your
only
Honor.
one time.
Well, then why would she complain about your being rude to her if you spoke to her husband? You're saying you never talked to her?
I'm a little flabbergasted at that remark.
All right, let's go back to the accident. Let's start with the corpus of the crime here.
I did talk to him twice. I called his insurance company twice and talked to him twice. Both times he yelled and screamed and he hung up on me. At one time he said, "Sue me."
Well, here we are.
So here we are.
Got your wish.
Right.
Tell me about the accident.
Okay, well, on July 3rd, 2007, I was stopped at a red light.
Okay.
I was sitting at the red light waiting for the light to change when Mr. Connors came up from behind me. The impact jarred my body and into the steering wheel. With that, I got out of the car, so did he. And he saw I was nervous. I wasn't expecting to be hit. So he said to me, "Don't worry, I'm a former police officer. I know exactly what to do. Everything will be fine." But I thought that I better look at his license plate and memorize it because I was afraid this man might drive off.
Everybody should do that who has an accident. Get their plate, don't memorize it, write it down.
Well, got back in the car, wrote down the license plate number, and pulled over as he had instructed me to do. He said that he had no damage, and he looked at my car and he said, "Looks like you just have a few scuffs." And I said to him, "Well, it looks like that to me too."
Do you have pictures of the damage to your car?
Yes, I sure do.
All right, let's see it.
There's pictures there where you can see the scuffs, and then there's also pictures of the crack in my bumper cover, of which Mr. Connors never did let me tell him on the phone.
Is this a scratch right here? Is this what we're talking about?
The line going across is a crack.
That's a crack.
That's a crack, yes.
But that's what we're talking about. That's the extent of it?
Well, the crack is the costly part of this. The scuffs can be buffed out.
These are scuffs, right?
The blue lines that you see are the scuffs.
All right.
There's
Have you seen these pictures, Mr. Connors?
No, Your Honor, I have not.
Well, let's show them to the defendant. Thank you.
One of the things I tried telling him...
By the way, it doesn't look serious.
No, it's not. It's not serious, and it's not even that much damage. I mean, it's only $685.
Right. All right.
But when I called this man, because what happened is when he gave me his insurance information, I started writing it down, and noticed when I was handing it back to him that it was expired.
The insurance card.
Right, the insurance was expired. I mentioned to him that it's expired, and
what does he say?
He said to me, "Oh, no, it isn't." He said, "I just forgot to put the new card in my wallet."
Okay.
And I thought, okay, that's possible. People do forget that. But at that point, he reached up, grabbed it out of my hands, got in his car, and drove off. I never
Is that what you did?
No.
Yes, he did.
All right, did the police come?
No, because at that point, I was trying to...
former police officer, actually corrections officer.
Right, we're talking former police officer here.
No, I'm wrapping up here a little bit.
Okay.
Why is it that you don't wait for the police to come?
It wasn't a case where we didn't feel, I believe...
Where you didn't feel. She's feeling differently than you. I could feel it all right away.
I asked her, point blank, if she wanted to have the police called. I had my cell phone with me. We both virtually agreed without...
That's not true, Your Honor.
Hold on. Go ahead.
Without any major conversation involved here. That it wasn't necessary. We had insurance. I gave her my driver's license. I gave her my business card.
He gave me his business card. I never saw his driver's license. He flashed it at me.
Right.
And I said, please remove it from your wallet.
What caused the accident in the first place?
There was a red light. There's a slight incline to the intersection. I had stopped approximately 4 or 5 feet from her car. Ms. Moore was on her cell phone at the time.
That's not true.
Speaking on the cell phone. When the light changed, I assumed she was probably terminating her conversation and went to put the cell phone down. Well, it appeared like she dropped it, even though she had started moving forward as the other car in front of her began to make the left turn. When she dropped her cell phone, she hit her brakes.
Your Honor,
at which point,
I never moved.
Hold on.
At which point, I rolled into her rear end. I had never even touched the accelerator. I had just taken my foot off the brake.
Your Honor, I never moved. I was sitting at that red light minding my own business, waiting for the light to change when he came up from behind me. I was at the red light. I was not on the phone.
If I were to get your cell phone records, would they indicate that you were not on the phone at that time?
I would say so.
Would you swear to it?
I would swear to it, yes. I was on the phone that morning, but not at the time of the accident, no.
Okay. All right.
The only thing he may have seen me fumble with is when he hit my car, my purse and things I had on the seat did fly off.
Okay. So, who do you call?
I call his insurance company first and find out they told me no, he does not have insurance. Ooh. They told me that he had not had insurance since November.
Ooh.
After
did you have insurance?
Yes, Your Honor, I did.
So why did they tell her that?
Well, there was a miscommunication with the insurance company. I had both my home and my car tied up in an umbrella policy with the company I was currently with.
Can you prove that you had insurance on the date in question?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
Show me. Okay.
Your Honor, I also have a statement here. Mr. Connors and I, first of all, I have a letter from his insurance company I need to show you.
Okay, hold on. What is the date of the accident again?
July 3rd.
He's got insurance.
That's the letter from his insurance company.
Our investigation has been completed. Unable to find automobile insurance. You know what? This is from Travelers. Travelers do not have any records indicating coverage for Richard Connors. Travelers will not accept property damage liability. Now, can you understand why she freaks out?
I most certainly can. What is the date on that?
And I would be so angry with these people. I would go up one side of them and down the other. Why? Because Travelers says he has insurance from November of 06 to November of 07. Shame on them.
Right.
Your Honor, also, I would like to say that we had a hearing for the Department of Revenue. And at that time of the hearing, he stated once again to those people that he had insurance, that this was just a bookkeeping problem. He had requested a hearing, and I attended it.
Excuse me, Your Honor, I requested no hearing.
Well, I sure didn't. I guess we both went for no reason then.
You know what? You're both nice people. I'm sorry the two of you are fighting over this. Outcome of hearing. Page 8 explains the blue paint. It seems reasonable to believe blue paint from the license plate may have been transferred to Miss Moore's bumper as a result of the impact. Blue paint from your license plate.
Right.
Did you know that?
It
Have you seen this?
possible. It is possible.
Well,
but
what are we going to
I have not had a chance
to.
to.
This case is very simple. Let's not make it complicated.
Okay.
He got a copy of that letter, the same thing that I did.
I have never seen that.
I
no.
don't believe you haven't seen it.
I have not received a copy. That's from the state of Missouri. I have not
What's the blue
received anything.
paint from?
They said that it was very possible that they looked at where I was hit and the fact that he was driving a utility vehicle when I was in a passenger. They said that the blue very well possibly could have come off of the Missouri plate. The color is blue and white.
Is this the blue here?
Right, that's the blue he's talking about. But he has never.
And what are you
even
alleging, Richard? That the blue is from something else?
Oh, most definitely.
What's it from?
It was from a previous impact that she had incurred
He
and
said
admitted
somebody
to.
came up behind me before he hit me in the very same spot. Then he hit me and I blamed it on him.
if you look at the smudges and the distance of the blue smudges, and I have further photographic evidence, the distance is much wider than a license plate. There are numerous photographic evidence marks across her bumper. And the evidence of the blue paint is from a previous impact. I pointed that out to her at the time of the accident that day, and she said, oh yes, I had been struck previously.
Your Honor, I have never said that. That is a lie.
All right. One of you is not telling the truth on this. Go ahead, Richard.
There was no way I rushed out of that scene. I did indeed give her my license. I have a valid driver's license on me right now, Your Honor.
I hope so.
And I have never received anything. In fact, when we parted ways the day of the accident, she informed me that she was taking the car directly to get it inspected, and if there were damages, to get an estimate. I said, fine. Basically, that evening, I get a telephone call, and it's from her husband, and he says, you struck my wife in the rear end today. I want to know what you plan on doing about it. He says, well, there's over $1,200 worth of damage. Well,
Honor,
at that point in time, I said, sir, there is no way that car could have sustained $1,200 worth of damage.
Did you say to him, may I please have an estimate?
That was my very next statement. I said,
Good.
if you will give me something to indicate that so I can review it, then we can discuss
What
it.
estimate did you give him?
My husband offered him a copy of the estimate. He said, don't bother me, just sue me, and hung up on my husband.
Your Honor.
There's a copy of the estimate
Your
right
Honor,
there.
I'm sorry, but the fictitious stories keep getting better and better here. I said, sir, I'm not going to pay you $1,200 because there wasn't that much damage. At that point in time, I told him, look, I will pay to have the blue paint buffed off of the bumper. I will pay to have the car washed and waxed. But that damage was not caused by me.
What evidence do you have from some kind of an auto body expert to tell me that the blue paint that is on Patricia's car is not blue paint from your license plate?
If you look at the photographic evidence there, the blue paint marks stretch out this wide across the bumper.
But you know
No,
what?
they don't.
You're asking me to speculate. I cannot speculate. If you had a ruler, then I might have broken down the damages, Richard, and made them somewhat proportionate, because there is a possibility that you're right. But this is a court of law. This is where we need evidence. I need facts. As far as I'm concerned, the plaintiff wins. You owe her $821 for car damage and for the fees associated with serving you. Now, here's the
Thank you, Your
bottom
Honor.
line. You had an accident. Things got out of control. You're a nice guy. You're a nice lady. It's a shame it got to this point. Just pay the woman and get it over with.
Thank you, Your Honor.